Professor, go ahead.
So shortly after we've negotiated, at some point we must be able to break the jinx of negotiation. Yes. We must be able to learn lessons, and we must be able to show that the debriefing which we conduct with those whose freedom have been negotiated, we're learning lessons from them. How do you think that can begin to show?
We debriefed a lot, but the product of that debrief needs to be put into action. Presently, I'm not sure if it has been used. If it has, then we will not be in this situation, because it seems to be going around and we're basically sitting there thinking, who is going to be the next? The aspect of negotiation for me is to understand what you are negotiating for. Are you negotiating for a truce? Are you negotiating for a release? And again, there are several forms of negotiation, and there are several forms of agreements. And if you are making this kind of negotiation, you need to know who you are negotiating with. In the past, we've negotiated with crooks, with 419, that actually are not with the same outfit. So you need to understand, and it's not everybody that comes forward to say they have a solution that you embrace. There are a lot of charlatans out there. But we're talking about lives, we're talking about developing a fusion center. And by what I mean by fusion center is a center where you have the medical services, you have the emergency services, you have everybody under the same command and control, which is missing. And at this point, and this is the reason we can actually say you are responsible. There are too many actors. Mr. President needs to be able to be in a position where we say you are responsible for this and the buck stops with you.
Professor, what I want to ask you is, when you hear from certain analysts, they'll tell you that, look, what we're doing right now in terms of counterinsurgency and in terms of policing is that we're trying to address the symptom instead of healing the illness. And I want to ask you, because some people are saying that, look, this is what it means when people say we need to create state police, for example, whether you agree or disagree. And I want to get your thoughts on what you think the Nigerian police force requires in order to do their bit, because they're saying, look, the military as it is overstretched across several theaters of conflict in various regions in the country. Can the police step in and fill that void? If not, what needs to be done?
You first mentioned the issue of state police. Mm-hmm. The issue with the state police for me is something that we need to consider and consider again. But at the same time, you have the police who are actually doing their best with the most they've got. They are underfunded. And it seems that you're asking someone who you are not equipped to go out and do your work for you. The police needs to be equipped. They need to be properly trained. And then the numbers game. You have the military right now that has been basically depleted in the sense that they are all over the country. And you have the police. They need to come in, but you need to empower them. You cannot just say you want to create a state police. You have the Security Council that's supposed to actually superintend oversight for the police that seems to be doing nothing. And then you have people going around and talking about community policing. Community policing is a good idea, but we need to be able to encourage the communities, because when we look at security, the police and the government, they have the primary responsibility. The community have a secondary responsibility. You need to get them on board. And one of the areas we are looking at presently is to start looking at community policing. We've been given the go-ahead, and we have at this point a plan in place that we can actually start reaching those areas. And when people confuse community policing with state policing, every community in Nigeria deserves the best policing.
You've touched on the issue of manpower, the issue of equipment, the issue of training. Now, the question I have for you is, when you think about those factors, what is standing in the way of the path to progress on this? What do you attribute these shortfalls to, and how do you think those can be addressed?
The police are basically they're going through this bit where they can get the trust fund to be agreed by Mr. President. Because you cannot send people out that are not well equipped. I said earlier on, I was in Maiduguri 2 weeks ago, and I saw police officers actually camping in the hallway to sleep. And these are the people you are entrusting the security and safety of the community to, that they are not well being taken care of properly. And then you have another side of the equation where you have budgets that have been allocated and it's not being given to the police to do their job. If you fund the police properly, then you have the right for them to account. But as it is right now, You have not funded them properly, and you're asking them to do this task that is beyond their means. There's got to be training. There's got to be action on the part of the government to say, okay, this is what we are giving you. Then that's when you can say to somebody, you need to account for what we're giving you. At this point, you've not given them any support that we can write home about, and you're asking them to raise up their game. What are they going to raise up their game about?
Very quickly, in your view, is the creation of state police the answer, or is it a matter of let's take our national police and give them what they need first before we talk about state police?
State police is not the answer at this point, because what we've got is not working. If it's working, because in other climates you have your federal police, and again the issue of jurisdiction will come into play. This is a long way away, because we cannot just sit here and just because this doesn't work, we're going to go to another mode. One of the examples I've used in the past is, for instance, you have a 10-bedroom house, and then there's a wind damage, it's rainy season, and because you don't want to repair that 10-bedroom house, you've decided to go and build a different room in each locations of the federation just for safety. That's madness. You cannot keep doing that. You need to repair what you've got. You need to fund it. Then you need to understand, is this working? And then the gap at this point is too wide for you to run away. And it's almost like you are digging a hole to fill a hole. So there will always be a hole that is left unfilled.
General,
so it doesn't make sense.
He's talked about, state police not being the answer, but it's looking more towards community policing. It does then drill down to the question of what efforts have been made in the past to ensure that the community people have been involved in this all along. We've heard about the civilian JTF. You wonder, in communities like Dapchi, do they have civilian JTF? Was this set up in almost every community? Or, did they feel that some communities will not have been in need of it?
It's not set up. Civilian detail is not set up in virtually everywhere. It's in areas where you need. But even then, when you finish with those guys, what do you do with the civilian GTF when the whole thing goes down a little bit? You have to start thinking about how do we re-engage these guys.
But just first of all, I mean, before we go there, do you think that they would have been useful in this instance? When people are operating for 3 hours?
It was because the issue got to a level that it was the boys themselves who came out and volunteered. It got to a level. So I think gradually, all other communities need to be encouraged to be part of the security architecture.
Let's see how that eventually translates to action in the coming days. But we have to thank you, gentlemen, for coming on Sunrise Daily. Prof Ogunsakin is Professor of Police Studies and also a security expert. Thank you for coming. And retired Major General Garba Wahab, former Director of Operations at the Army Headquarters, GOC 1 Division, and Chief of Army Administration. Thank you for coming on Sunrise Daily. The program continues shortly. Please stay with us.